gumbo of growth, the connection is you.
Today, we are tackling a really critical mission. We're trying to build a kind of definitive framework for anyone stepping into a new role.
You mean as a mentor or maybe a long-term caretaker for an autistic adult?
Exactly. And this is a role that, it demands more than just commitment. It really requires specialized knowledge.
For sure, and we're drawing that knowledge from research, but also, and this is so important, from the lived experiences of autistic people themselves.
That's the key. So the guidance you might be providing, whether it's part-time or full-time, it's really the backbone of support.
Mm-hmm. And we often talk about autism in terms of support needs. You'll hear things like level 1, which is, requiring some support.
Mostly around social communication.
Right, all the way up to level 3, which means needing really substantial daily support in almost every aspect of life.
And the framework we're discussing today, it applies across that whole spectrum.
It does. It really does.
So our mission is to, fast-track your understanding. We're going to cover the core mechanics of emotional regulation, daily structure, and how to navigate these huge, complex systems.
Like healthcare and employment. It's a lot.
It is. We're essentially building a blueprint for effective, compassionate mentorship.
Okay, so where do we start?
Let's jump right in with something absolutely foundational to emotional well-being.
Stimming.
Stimming. Now, clinically, you might see this called repetitive motor movements.
A very dry term.
Very. But the definition from the autistic community itself is just so much more powerful. They describe it as, the repetition of physical movements, sounds, or objects.
And once you understand its function, it changes everything.
It really does.
I mean, if you think of the human body as a sort of complex electrical system, stimming is the adaptive mechanism.
Natural circuit breaker.
Or thermostat, yeah. Autistic adults consistently report that stimming isn't a behavioral problem. It's not a deficiency. It's how they soothe themselves.
Or process things, or communicate these really intense internal states.
Exactly. It creates this predictable regulating feedback loop when the rest of the world just feels totally unpredictable.
Okay, so what causes that circuit to overload? I know the research points to 4 main triggers.
Yeah, and they often stack on top of each other. The first 2 are all about the environment.
An overwhelming external world.
Right, and the sensory overload that comes with it. Think about the hum of fluorescent lights, the smell of cleaning supplies, or just, loud, sudden noises.
So what's the third trigger? It's more internal, isn't it?
It is, and it's something many people describe as noisy thoughts. These are just excessive, dysregulated thought patterns that can feel even harder to manage than external triggers.
Because you can't walk away from them.
You can't. They're always there. And then the fourth trigger is just pure emotion. But the key here is that it can be positive or negative.
It's about the intensity.
Yes. The sheer intensity, intense anxiety, distress, or even just immense excitement, all of it can drive that need to self-regulate.
So if you see someone flapping their hands because they're just incredibly excited about something, that's the same mechanism as if they were doing it out of anxiety.
Precisely. And as a mentor, you have to approach it the same way, as regulation.
And that understanding, it changes the entire strategy, correct?
Completely. Autistic adults are, almost unanimous in objecting to treatments aimed at getting rid of non-injurious stimming.
Things like quiet hands.
Oh, quiet hands or forcing stillness. Just if stimming is their natural way to cope, forcing them to suppress it sounds exhausting.
It's worse than exhausting. It's actively depleting.
It is. When you suppress a stim, even something simple like rocking, you can see a rapid increase in distress, mental health challenges, burnout.
Because you're taking away their control system.
You've taken their control system offline.
So the guiding principle for a mentor seems crystal clear.
Yeah.
Encourage safe stimming. You have to create a non-judgmental space.
An accepting environment where they can stim freely. The only time you intervene is if the behavior is actively causing self-harm. That's the metric.
And even then, it's not about punishment.
Never. If a stim becomes harmful, your role is collaborative exploration. You work with them to figure out the trigger and find a replacement.
Can you give an example?
Sure. So say the stim is headbanging, which might be about seeking intense sensory input. You would collaboratively explore alternatives.
Like heavy work, maybe. Or a weighted blanket.
Exactly. A deep pressure object, something that provides that same input but safely.
Okay, so moving from that internal regulation, let's talk about the bedrock of external life. routine.
Yes, predictability is everything because change, just by its nature, feels new and unpredictable.
And that can lead to profound anxiety.
So a consistent daily schedule is foundational, but you need the right tools to communicate it.
Visual strategies.
Visuals are the cornerstone. Symbols, photos, line drawings, they can map out the steps for a task or, and this is so important, highlight a change in the routine.
Which gives them back a sense of control.
And boosts independence.
Yeah.
Massively.
I saw a great tip in the sources about scheduling when things are, well, out of your control.
Well, yes. When exact timing is hard, like you're waiting for a bus or an appointment, sticking to a clock time can actually make anxiety worse.
So what do you do instead?
You use non-time specific points. After lunch, before the news. It gives you the predictability you need without the pressure of a deadline you can't control.
Okay, let's get into a tool that many people think is just for kids, but it's not. Social stories.
They are profoundly helpful for adults. Absolutely.
What are they exactly?
A social story, or a social narrative, just shares accurate, step-by-step social information in a really clear, reassuring way.
So it breaks down a complicated social event.
Who is doing what, where, why? You can use them to prepare for almost anything, a wedding, a trip to the airport. It defines expectations, and later you can use it to praise how well they did.
That covers structure. But life is messy. It demands flexibility.
And rigidity is, it's a natural byproduct of relying so heavily on routine.
So how does a mentor gently introduce the idea of an unexpected change?
You have to be intentional. You create these small, low-stakes practice challenges to build up those adaptation skills.
You start small.
Very small. Swap 2 visuals on the schedule card, move a chair, change where you keep the coffee mugs.
So you're not waiting for a crisis. You're creating safe little training exercises.
That's a great way to put it. You could say, be setting the table and forget a fork. It's a small problem. It practices responding to things not going to plan.
And it encourages asking for help.
The crucial skill of asking for help or solving the problem themselves, it teaches them that unexpected things happen and that they can handle it.
It shifts the whole mindset from avoidance to preparation.
It does. But there's a cardinal rule here.
Always allow extra time.
Always. Transitions take time. No matter how small the change, you never, ever rush a transition.
Okay, let's move into our final segment. Community navigation, long-term health. This is arguably the most critical area for a mentor.
It is, and the data is pretty alarming. We know that physical and mental health problems are highly predictive of an autistic adult's self-reported quality of life.
The disparities are significant.
It's huge. If you look at middle-aged and older autistic adults, certain things just jump out. Sleep conditions can affect up to 85% in some studies.
85%, that's staggering.
And cardiovascular disease, nearly half.
Yeah.
Up to 49%. These aren't minor issues. They are life determinants.
And new research is pointing to some really interesting biological links. The gut-brain connection.
It's fascinating. The simplified version is that we're seeing strong suggestions that imbalances in the gut microbiome can actually impact serotonin production.
And serotonin is critical for mood, social interaction.
Emotional processing. Everything. It raises the possibility that focusing on gut health could open up new pathways for helping with regulation.
Which just reinforces the idea that what we see on the outside is so often rooted in physical health.
And that leads to a fundamental clinical guideline, especially about pain.
Right. Autistic adults often define health very differently, don't they?
Yes. Not as a positive state, but as the absence of pain, illness, injury, or major sensory changes.
So any shift can feel like a medical emergency.
It can feel catastrophic. And the most important piece of advice for any mentor is how that pain gets communicated.
That's often through behavior.
A sudden, unexplained change in behavior. More self-harming stims, aggression, sudden withdrawal. That might be the only way they can tell you something is wrong.
And that behavior has to be investigated as a medical problem.
Immediately and thoroughly. It's a medical emergency until proven otherwise. Not just autism, not bad behavior.
But even when a medical issue is found, getting treatment is a huge challenge because of sensory barriers.
Healthcare settings are sensory nightmares. The lights, the noises, the smells, the unpredictable touch. It's terrifying.
So the mentor's role is to mitigate that.
You're their advocate and planner. I mean, the dentist guide we saw has great actionable steps. Arrange a pre-visit just to see the office and meet people.
Book the first appointment of the day to avoid waiting.
Or a double appointment so nobody's rushed. And always, always bring noise-canceling headphones.
Let's talk about long-term independence. Autistic adults want autonomy, but executive functioning difficulties get in the way.
Big time. time management, organization, planning. It makes it hard to maintain health habits, even when they know exactly what they should be doing.
So success isn't about forced independence.
It's about partnership. We know that autistic adults who are married or live with long-term partners have an easier time accessing care because of that support.
So a mentor has to reframe asking for help.
You have to. It's a sign of strength. It's a pathway to better self-advocacy, not a failure of independence.
And what about the legal side of things?
Non-negotiable, especially with aging, you have to establish key documents. Medical power of attorney, an advance directive, a living will.
And make sure trusted people have legal permission to access medical records.
And speak to doctors. It's critical.
Finally, let's just quickly touch on employment. The under- or unemployment rate is shockingly high, often near 90%.
And there's a toxic myth that just won't die.
That if you get Social Security benefits, you can't work.
It is completely untrue. There are work incentives programs designed specifically to allow people to work, earn money, and keep their benefits like Medicare while they transition.
So the mentor's goal should be to encourage some work.
Absolutely. Even just part-time, a few hours a week, it provides routine, builds self-esteem, creates inclusion. There are great resources out there, like the Job Accommodation Network.
Wow, this has been an incredibly thorough deep dive. We've gone from embracing stimming as a regulatory tool to the power of routine to navigating these huge systems.
And I think if there's one principle that ties it all together, it has to be that medical imperative. You have to resist that professional tendency to dismiss a sudden behavioral change as just behavior.
Right. The moment you see a sudden change in mood or stimming or anything, you have to treat it as a symptom that needs immediate, deep medical investigation.
That's the ultimate takeaway.
That's it. The change in behavior is a prompt for action. And as you step into this incredibly important role, just remember that it's a reciprocal relationship. Your goal isn't just to impose a system, it's to engage with their world.
And you'll find you're not just a guide, you're a discoverer. And in doing that, you're going to discover some truly amazing things.
In the gumbo of growth, the connection is you. The connection is you. It's clear and true. Bringing voices together, a vibrant hue. With love and insight, each topic we pursue. In the gumbo of growth, the connection is you.